Everything in your life, every success, every regret, every relationship, every version of yourself started with one thing, a choice, a simple word, choice, something so normal that we barely notice its power anymore. Because every day we make hundreds of them. Small choices, big choices, meaningless choices, life-changing choices. What to say, what to hide, who to trust, who to leave, what path to follow, what dream to chase. And most of the time we believe something comforting. We believe every decision has two sides, right and wrong, good and bad, simple. But what if reality isn't that simple? What if one day you are forced into a situation where every option feels wrong? What if every road leads somewhere dark? Because suddenly, right and wrong begin falling apart. Morality begins shaking and things become uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable, because now you aren't choosing between good and evil, you are choosing between bad and worse. Imagine this, 5 people are standing in front of you. 5 strangers, 5 lives, 5 futures, 5 families, and you are given a choice. To save all 5, one person must die. Only one. Simple question, right? 5 lives for 1 life. Most people immediately answer save the 5, of course. 5 is greater than 1. Makes sense. Logically, it feels easy. But here's the problem. Human beings don't live through logic. They live through emotion. Because numbers are strange. 5 sounds like a number. 1 sounds like a number. But humans aren't numbers. Humans have faces, voices, memories, stories. And suddenly things become complicated. Very complicated. Because today I'm not asking what sounds correct. I'm asking what you would actually do. And trust me, those are very different things. Because the next few minutes are not testing your intelligence. They are not testing your morality. They're not even testing whether you're a good person. They're testing something much more dangerous. They're testing who you really are. So let's begin with something simple. A very simple decision, at least that's what it looks like. Imagine this, you're standing inside a control room. Normal day, normal moment, nothing unusual. Then suddenly, you hear alarms, you rush toward the window, and what you see immediately freezes you. A train is moving at full speed. Fast, very fast. And on the tracks ahead, 5 workers are standing, focused on their jobs, wearing heavy equipment, wearing noise-cancelling headphones. Completely unaware. They don't hear anything, they don't see anything, and you realize something terrifying. If nothing changes, the train will hit all 5 of them. 5 people, 5 lives, 5 families waiting for them to return home, 5 futures. And suddenly your eyes notice something. Right beside you, there is a lever, one choice. Pull the lever and the train changes direction. Simple. Problem solved. Or maybe not, because there is something else. On the other track, there is another worker. Just one. One person, one life. Now suddenly things become interesting. Because now you have 2 options, do nothing, and 5 people die, pull the lever, and 1 person dies. That's it. No third option, no escape, no calling for help, no pausing time, only choice. So tell me, what would you do? Don't answer quickly. Actually think, because this is where something strange happens. Most people immediately say, pull the lever, 5 lives are greater than 1. Simple math, simple logic, save more people. End of discussion. And maybe you also chose to pull it. Maybe. Because logically it feels obvious. But here's the strange part. Very strange. You didn't actually choose between numbers. You chose between responsibility. Because if you do nothing, 5 people die. But you didn't cause it. You simply watched it happen. The train was already moving. Their fate was already decided. You didn't create the disaster. But if you pull the lever, everything changes because now that one person's death exists because of you. Your hand moved, your choice acted, your decision created consequences. And suddenly, saving 5 people doesn't feel as simple anymore. Because humans don't just fear bad outcomes. Humans fear guilt. Still, most people pull the lever. Maybe you did too. And honestly, it makes sense because right now the choice still feels logical, still feels rational, still feels distant. But that is only because we haven't changed the question yet. Because the first choice is always easy. The second choice is where things start breaking apart. Because what happens when the person on the other track stops being a stranger? Now let's change the situation just slightly. Same train, same tracks, same 5 people, same lever, same disaster. But this time, the person standing on the other track isn't a stranger anymore. It's your boss. And before you ask, no, this isn't just some random coincidence. Because life rarely tests morality in simple situations. Life tests morality when something personal is involved. And suddenly, this choice becomes personal. Because if your boss dies, everything changes. Your job disappears. Your income disappears. Your future becomes uncertain. Maybe your family suffers. Maybe your life falls apart. But if you choose to save him, something else happens. He survives. And out of gratitude, he rewards you. Money, success, security. A better future, a better life. All you have to do is nothing. Just stand still. Just let the train continue forward. 5 strangers die. 1 important person survives. And your life gets better. Now answer honestly. Did the decision suddenly become harder? Of course it did. Because morality sounds simple until survival enters the room. And this is where human psychology becomes dangerous. Because humans don't judge situations equally. We assign value emotionally. A stranger's pain feels distant. Your pain feels immediate. A stranger's life feels abstract. Your future feels real. And suddenly, logic begins changing shape. You start creating reasons. Maybe there wasn't enough time. Maybe I couldn't save everyone. Maybe protecting my future matters too. Notice something strange. The human mind immediately starts defending the choice it wants to make. Because humans are not rational creatures. Humans are emotional creatures who create rational explanations afterward. But let's make this worse. Much worse. Imagine the same situation again. Same train, same 5 people, same speed, same helplessness. But now the person standing on the other track is your father. Not a stranger, not your boss, your father. The person who raised you, protected you, sacrificed for you. The person whose voice you've heard your entire life. And now your hand is resting on the lever. One movement decides everything. Pull it. And your father dies. Do nothing. And 5 strangers die instead. Now what happens to morality? What happens to logic? What happens to the beautiful idea of 5 lives are greater than 1? Suddenly everything collapses because now emotion is stronger than principle. Now love is stronger than logic, and most people, without hesitation, would let those 5 strangers die. Maybe you would too. And maybe that's exactly the point. Because this experiment was never about trains, never about tracks, never about numbers. It was about revealing something hidden inside human beings. Circumstances change morality. Emotion changes morality. Attachment changes morality. And the scariest part, most people don't even notice it happening. They still believe they are good, still believe they are rational, still believe they are fair, even while changing the value of human life based on personal emotion. But we still haven't reached the darkest part. Because until now, you only had to pull a lever. You never had to touch another human being. And that changes everything. Now comes the final choice. And this time there are no buttons, no levers, no distance between you and the consequence. Same situation, same train, same 5 people standing on the tracks. The train is still moving toward them, fast, unstoppable. And once again, if nothing changes, all 5 people die. But this time there is only one way to stop the train. You are standing on a bridge above the tracks. Beside you stands another man, a stranger. You don't know his name, you don't know his story, you don't know anything about him. But you notice one thing. He is heavy enough to stop the train. If he falls onto the tracks, the train will crash into him. Slow down, and the 5 people below will survive. And suddenly the choice feels completely different. Because now saving 5 people requires something personal. Your hands, your action, your force. You don't pull a lever anymore. You push a human being. So tell me, would you do it? Would you place your hands on another person, feel their body resist, hear their panic, and still push them to their death? To save 5 strangers, think carefully, because something strange happens here. Many people who pulled the lever earlier suddenly refuse this choice, even though the result is mathematically identical. 5 survive, 1 dies. Same numbers, same outcome. So why does this feel worse? Because humans don't experience morality through logic alone. They experience it emotionally. Direct violence feels different. Personal violence feels different. Watching someone die because of your decision feels different than physically causing it yourself. And suddenly you realize something uncomfortable. Maybe morality isn't fixed. Maybe morality bends depending on emotion, depending on distance, depending on circumstances. Because at the beginning, saving 5 people felt easy. Then personal loss complicated the choice. And now, physical responsibility changes it again. Every situation changed your answer. Every situation changed your morality. And maybe that is the real experiment, not the train, not the death's you. Because every choice quietly reveals something. How fear changes decisions, how attachment changes values, how emotion changes morality. And maybe the scariest realization is this: most people believe they are good until life places them in a situation where goodness has a price. And maybe that's why judging other people is dangerous. Because from a distance, morality always looks simple. But inside the moment, inside fear, inside desperation, inside survival, everything changes. Right and wrong become blurry. Logic becomes emotional. And humans become unpredictable. Because maybe people are not as good or evil as we think. Maybe they are simply shaped by circumstance. So what was the point of all this? Why create impossible choices? Why place people inside situations where every answer feels wrong? Because these choices reveal something uncomfortable about human nature. Something most people don't want to admit. Morality is not as stable as we think. At the beginning, saving 5 people felt easy, simple, logical. But then circumstances changed, emotion entered the room, personal attachment entered the room, fear entered the room, responsibility entered the room. And suddenly, your morality started changing. Not because you became evil, not because you became selfish, but because you became human. And maybe this is what people misunderstand about morality. People think morality is fixed, permanent, absolute. But reality keeps proving something else. Reality keeps proving that human decisions are deeply connected to circumstance. The environment changes the choice, emotion changes the choice, fear changes the choice, love changes the choice, survival changes the choice. And once those things appear, right and wrong stop looking clear. Think about it. A person may seem cruel in one situation and compassionate in another. A person may act selfishly one day and sacrifice everything the next. So who are they really? Good or bad? Maybe neither. Maybe humans are far more unstable than we want to believe. Because deep down, most people want to see themselves as moral, as fair, as good. But morality becomes easy when nothing important is at risk. Real morality appears only when there is something to lose. Your comfort, your future, your family, your safety, your life. That's when choices become real. And maybe this is why judging other people is dangerous. From the outside, every decision looks simple. From a distance, every answer feels obvious. But inside pressure, inside fear, inside desperation, humans change. And maybe you would too. Now here's the scariest part. Every person listening to this probably believes something. I know what kind of person I am. But do you really? Because until life places you inside impossible circumstances, you don't truly know yourself. Not completely. You only know the version of yourself that exists inside comfort. And comfort hides many truths. Maybe the real purpose of choices was never to reveal morality. Maybe choices reveal identity. They expose fear, attachment, selfishness, compassion, weakness, strength, and maybe that's why choices are terrifying. Because every difficult decision quietly asks one question: who are you, really? So after everything, what are we left with? A terrifying realization. Maybe people are not naturally good. And maybe people are not naturally evil either. Maybe humans are something much more dangerous, flexible. Because throughout this entire journey, your choices kept changing. At first, logic controlled you, then emotion controlled you, then fear controlled you, then attachment controlled you, and every new circumstance created a different version of you, a version you probably didn't expect to see. And maybe that's the real danger of being human. Not hatred, not violence, not darkness, but adaptation, because humans adapt to almost anything. Pain, fear, cruelty, loss, even guilt, especially guilt, and slowly things that once felt impossible start feeling normal. Maybe that's how people cross lines, not instantly, not dramatically, but slowly. One compromise at a time, one justification at a time, one decision at a time, until eventually they no longer recognize themselves. And maybe the scariest part of all this is that most people never realize it's happening. Because nobody believes they are becoming the villain. Everyone believes they are surviving, protecting, defending, doing what is necessary. Which means the line between good and evil might not be a line at all. Maybe it's movement, maybe it's circumstance, maybe it's pressure, maybe it's fear. And maybe under the right conditions, almost anyone can cross it. But if that's true, then something else is also true. Awareness matters. Questioning yourself matters. Because maybe the people who become truly dangerous are not the people who have darkness inside them. Everyone has darkness inside them. Maybe the truly dangerous people are the ones who stop questioning it. The ones who blindly justify everything. The ones who believe I could never become that kind of person. Because history has heard that sentence before, again and again and again. So maybe the purpose of this video was never to give you answers. Maybe it was to leave you with a question only you can answer. If life ever places you in impossible circumstances, if fear ever controls the moment, if survival demands a price, if morality begins collapsing around you, who will you become? Because maybe choices never create who you are. Maybe they only reveal who you were all along.